And I think it's important to mention, in case the viewers don't know, the reason why we're talking about this is that in a given year you do have to apply to one or the other universities. You can't apply to both.
Yep.
So lastly, we get this question a lot. Maybe I for sure do when students find out that I went to Oxford. Students ask us, why Cambridge and not Oxford? I was wondering what you had.
I think for me, it comes down to the courses. Yeah. So I think, if a given student is interested in a particular subject or a little cluster of subjects, they should always look really closely and carefully at the courses that the different universities offer, not just Oxford and Cambridge, but other Russell Group universities or other universities. And the thing to do is try and work out whether that's the best course for you. And if, having done that, you decide that the best course is at Cambridge, then you should apply to Cambridge, because that's the course you should be doing. And if, having done that, you decide that the best course is at Oxford, then you should apply to Oxford, because that's the best course for you. I think that really is the best way of kind of thinking about it, really, and drill down into it in enough detail, because Oxford and Cambridge and many other universities offer courses that have the same kind of name. It might be called like English literature or something like that. But when you actually look at the course, it's structured in very different ways. It incorporates different things. So just to take that example, the kind of English literature and language course at Oxford includes the Anglo-Saxon period. So you get to read works of literature in Old English, or in Anglo-Saxon, if you like. That's not an obligatory part of the Cambridge course. It starts a bit later than that. It starts during the medieval period, so from about sort of 1300, not pre that. So if you know that you're applying for English and you really want to spend a bit of time reading Anglo-Saxon literature, you should definitely apply for the Oxford course, because that's a fundamental part of it. You can study those things here at Cambridge, but it's kind of an optional thing that you get to via a different way. So I think looking at those sorts of differences between the courses and basing the decision on that is better than trying to work out whether, in some abstract sense, Cambridge is better than Oxford or not. I mean, what does that mean? Like, what are we talking about? Like air quality or something? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, and those kind of. So I think first and foremost, we should explain that the reason why this question is quite important is because in one given application year, you can only apply to one or the other.
Yeah.
So you do have to make a decision.
Yeah.
I know people who've applied for one, like Cambridge, in the first year, not get in, and then the second year apply to Oxford. But so you could apply to both in that sense, but in
any one given year, you can only apply to one or the other.
Exactly. So a decision has to be made. And to add on what you were saying, I think if you're trying to compare them in an abstract sense, or prestige, or which one is just like better, I don't think those are the best reasons to be applying for either universities anyways.
No.
Like when I was a student, and students who wanted to come to Oxford for the prestige, the prestige doesn't last that long. and the course is 3 or 4 years, 30 hours of work a week. And they've kind of presumed, and they've assessed you, and they've kind of like they've trusted that you are curious about the subject and enjoy it. When I see a student who've just gone for the prestigious institution, aren't really that driven about the course, it's a tough 3 years. And you don't want to be in that position.
Whereas if you're studying a course that is a good fit for you, it's the right course, the 3 years is fun.
Oh yeah, exactly. 3
years, 4 years, however long the course lasts, it's a lot of fun. So I just think, almost forget all the kind of higher level, which is better in some abstract sense. Look at the things you're interested in, look at those courses, and make a really pragmatic, sensible decision based on course content.
And on top of that, I think if you can, whether it's through online or in person, definitely do check out both cities, because if there's not too much, I think course is definitely the most important, and you want to choose the course that fits you the best way possible. If the courses you're fairly indifferent to both institutions, choosing the city
Yep.
and that you could see yourself living in more so than the other is definitely something that I'd encourage students to do, because I think university is you're going to be living there for 3 or 4 years, and there's benefits to both cities, and you can only really like make your own judgment.
It's a personal thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't some abstract universal law that says, everyone will be happy in this place or that. It comes down to what you're used to, what you prefer, what kind of lifestyle you want to have as a student. So that's a very, very subjective thing.
And they're both academically and in the cities, like phenomenal institutions and phenomenal cities to live in. It's kind of like, do you prefer rubies or sapphires? It's like, well, they're both, first and foremost, they're both great. I wouldn't mind one or the other.
Yeah.
And it is a personal choice. I think because I obviously studied at Oxford and been living in Cambridge for a year now. One thing that I've noticed is that there are a lot of myths about the culture of both universities and the courses and the types of people, and and then obviously my job is to understand the courses that Cambridge offers, the course content, the structure, what kind of students would what they offer for the students. And I tend to find that what actually is happening in the university and what we offer the students is not aligning with like the myths of what Cambridge is for and what Cambridge doesn't provide. Similarly with what Oxford is for and what it doesn't provide. To give some examples, there's like a slight myth that Cambridge is the place to go for sciences. It is true, right, that the natural science course is it's a very good course, and and the maths course is very good. But I studied chemistry at Oxford and I knew a lot of STEM people studying in sciences. The courses at Oxford were incredibly well thought out as well. The maths course at Oxford is in course content very, very similar to the Cambridge one. If no two things are identical to each other, but they're very similar. So that doesn't, on one side you're hearing if you want to do maths you should go to Cambridge, but then the courses that they offer and how the teaching happens, the amount of work you get per week are almost identical. Those two don't align. To give another example, I think I've heard students say, if you want to become a politician or if you want to study politics, you want to go to Oxford. It is true that the Oxford Union at least looks like it has a bigger reach than the Cambridge Union, at least from its YouTube views. Other than that, and maybe the amount of Tory politicians that have come out of the Oxford Union. But I've done webinars with HSPS academics, the main politics course that you can study at Cambridge, and the amount of variety of different politics options there are, the amount of depth that each of the modules goes to, and I guess to say that there aren't students who are interested in politics in Cambridge when the intake is a huge amount for HSPS and the history and politics course just is not true, is not reflective of the student body. Not to go too much into HSPS, but they have a lot of very interesting 20th century politics as well that some of the courses at Oxford lack. So you could even argue that if you really wanted to cutting edge politics, there's advantages to the HSPS course over the PPE course in Oxford. So like as you said, like you want to work out which course is right for you, really looking into the differences between the courses, looking at, if you have the opportunity, going to both of the cities, working out which one is that you can see yourself living in for 3-4 years. And I think it's important to mention, in case the viewers don't know, the reason why we're talking about this is that in a given year you do have to apply to one or the other universities. You can't apply to both. Was there, do you think, like, was there anything that you think I missed with?
No, I'd agree with all of that, and there are so many myths that circulate around both Oxford and Cambridge, and I would just encourage people not to believe them. Basically, maybe there was a time in the distant past when the one university or the other did things in a certain kind of way, but so much has changed in the past sort of 20 or 30 years that I think if someone believes something about Cambridge or Oxford just because they've heard other people sort of talking about it in a sort of almost gossipy way, like, oh, Cambridge is the place for sciences and Oxford is useless for sciences, it's just not true. So any knowledge that you think you have about the universities that has come to you that way, mistrust it. And do a bit of research, do a bit of digging, come and talk to us, and come and go and talk to our colleagues at Oxford, and actually find out what the truth is, in the 21st century about these universities, not maybe what the truth was in like the 1930s or the 1940s, because that's the best way to make sure you apply from a position of knowledge and kind of information, rather than just sort of myth and sort of vague gossip about the two universities. So I think that's the thing I'd suggest. I think, like, with myths and gossip, like, myths become true if you become more true if you believe in them. So like some students might say about, this is the kind of culture for Oxford, this is the kind of culture for Cambridge, but you've got to take into account what came first, like their observation, or did they come into it thinking this? And I guess I've genuinely come into Cambridge with open eyes and just consistently noticed more similarities between the institutions in terms of the courses and the culture amongst the students than the myths suggest. You'll be telling me unicorns don't exist next.
I was trying to work out whether you said unicorns did exist or did. This is, when Marcus is so sarcastic, you have to. There's no difference. Because it was a genuine 50-50 chance.
You have to make a choice.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.